Will an American take over command of an RTS for the first time? Will Sky keep his momentum after beating Grubby? Will Luxembourg come out of nowhere and qualify for the single elimination tournament and win? This is World Cyber Games on Imbalanced. Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Imbalanced, your only source for Warcraft 3 video news and highlights. This episode, if you haven't figured out yet, is about the World Cyber Games single elimination video. The next video will probably be focused on the WC3L LAN finals. In each video, I like to try something new. For the past few videos, it's been more on the technical side of things. But in this video I'm going to try to focus on fewer games, but go into greater depth on each game. This is the opposite style of the group phase video, which did a whole ton of games, very low detail for each game. Go to my website, www.imbavideo.com, and vote in the poll on which style you like more. Fewer games in greater depth, or more games in less depth. The big news is that I'm creating a video dedicated to helping you learn the art of timing in Warcraft 3. This will be a video that you will have to buy. Look for this later this week. Now, on to the video. What I'm going to do is talk in depth about each game where the players aren't filled in yet. After losing Game 1, Bjark was able to beat Pato pretty easily. Sky had no trouble against Zerder, dominating him in 2 games, just like Winner Reset beat LOL vs XD in 2 games. Here is Game 1 of Vancor against Creo. Creo exposed about 3 times because it's cross positions on Lost Temple. But Vancor stops every single one from finishing, and in this first fight he has a much higher food count because he was able to keep his 1 expo up. Vancor spent the whole game just running around and taking out expos, and in the end it really paid off for him because in the final battle he had a much larger army. He also had a great position. Creo has no TP and is completely surrounded by ghouls. Vancor took Game 1 over Creo. Creo made sure not to expo after what happened in Game 1. He wisely picked the Dark Ranger and quickly crept to level 3. Once he had level 3, he could easily fight Vancor off by focus firing ghouls. After that, an offensive tower was all that was needed to take out Vancor's expo. Vancor had to tech slower to be able to expo, and in the end, that cost him the game. Game 3 was on Turtle Rock, and for the first time in the series, Creo was able to build an expo and keep it up. Vancor gave him a run for his money though. In this fight, if Vancor had saved his hero, he might have been able to take out the expo. In the final battle, Vancor had a great army, except no meat wagons. Without meat wagons to decimate the Draz, he wasn't able to win the game. Creo played against Bjarka and beat him 2-1. He was even able to beat him on Lost Temple in their first game. For all you Danes out there, including my wannabe Dane brother, I hope you like my pronunciation of Bjarka this time, even though we all know it's Bjark. Sky won Game 1 against Winner Reset on Lost Temple. Game 2 is right here on Twisted Meadows. After the Death Knight dies, the average time until the Lich dies is 9 seconds, which is exactly the cooldown of Stormbolt. This time, it took about 10 seconds for the Lich to die. After this battle, Winner had the advantage and was able to take out Sky's expo. The one area he doesn't have the advantage in is hero levels. A level 6 Mountain King is a force to be reckoned with. Sky's abuse of the Death Knight led him to victory over Winner Reset. The winner of Creo vs Sky will go on to the semifinals. Creo took Game 1 on Lost Temple, proving yet again that human isn't invincible on LT. We pick it up in Game 2 of the series, a must-win for Sky. Sky's micro in this game is awesome. He saved unit after unit when they got into red health. It looked to me like Sky got an advanced copy of my timing video. He attacked at the perfect time right before Creo had built up enough bears to be able to fight him off. From that point on, Sky kept the pressure high and never let Creo come back. Sky won the game and carried the momentum into Game 3, which he also won. Sky proved once again that he's ready for the big games. He was a combined 6-1 on his path to the semifinals. Creo looked good and was able to beat a rusty Bjarka, but nobody else in this group was really able to challenge Sky. This 8-man group competing for another semifinal slot was one of the toughest. It had not 1, but 2 Koreans in Sohu and Home Run Ball. 4K Todd and SK Hot are also very strong players. You would have thought that there would have been plenty of great games, but there really weren't very many. When the Koreans played, Home Run Ball had a hard time getting an expo up and ended up towering himself in on 2 separate occasions. Sohu switched to Orc on Lost Temple from his normal Night Elf. That's actually a very common occurrence these days, as Orc is very strong on Temple. This is the second game after Sohu took Game 1. Sohu and Todd get the close spawn where Sohu is practically on top of Todd's expo. Sohu takes advantage of that and towers him in. Why he didn't also expo for himself at the same time is beyond me. When they actually fight, Sohu has lost so much money that from his attempted tower push that he isn't able to fight Todd. It also doesn't help that Todd still has an expo up, while Sohu doesn't. Todd wins the game and the next one to advance. Hot had an easy time advancing to the quarterfinals against Todd, beating Yakumo and Just Diesel, both in 2 games. Todd's route was harder, and it took him 2 3-game matches against Levin and Sohu to advance. Todd and Hot spent their cross-map Lost Temple game throwing 100 food armies at each other. Up to this point, the two are very equal. After this battle, Todd's able to take out one of Hot's expos, and then a few minutes later, his other expo. With no income, Hot isn't able to continue fighting Todd's 100 food army and loses. Todd was able to win the series in 2 games, one on Twisted Meadows and this one on Lost Temple. Todd advances to the semifinals where he joins Sky in an all-human semifinal match. Now we're going to take a quick break and look at the not top plays. The not top plays are just that. They aren't top plays. They're those moments that players would just as soon rather forget. At number 4, Yakumo makes a mistake and tries to fight Gargs against Creeps. It didn't even have to be daytime for Yakumo to lose 3 gargoyles. He lost the game and the match to SK Hot. Number 3, Puree used archers and Shadow Meld to surround a newly summoned Tavern Hero. A really great move, but then he just lets the Dark Ranger go. At number 2, Sky just drops a pendant of mana from his Mountain King on the ground. Personally, I like having all that extra mana on my Mountain King, but I'm sure Sky just wants to give Winner Reset a break after beating him so badly in the first game. The number 1 not top play is a copy of what Wizard did last World Cyber Games. But you have to figure, out of around 300 games, at least one person is going to lose their hero to Creeps at some point. Bracket is another tough one with Fav, Grubby, Zyout, and Deadman all looking for one semifinal spot. But it's World Cyber Games, and there can only be one winner. Zyout starts game 1 off by just running in and owning Nightoff's main. When you're going Mass Raiders, you might as well use their siege damage against some buildings. Zyout took game 1. Game 2 was on Twisted Meadows, and this time Nightoff was careful against Zyout, going after his main. Zyout just misses the timing on the TP, but any later and his hero would have died. Nightoff counters Zyout's style of play by going Mass Ancients of War. Can I get a Farseer kill? Can I get the Farseer kill from an Ancient of War? Ancient of Wind, I will take it. Sold. So the 4 likely candidates made it to the next round, but now someone's gotta give. Fav against Zyout. Game 3 was on Turtle Rock after they split games 1 and 2. This is a very close game. Zyout has an expo, but he keeps on getting his peasants killed by Fav. The game looks a lot like a game that Fav played a while ago at InCup Fall Series number 2. Why don't we take a quick flashback into how that game turned out? The game was Grubby versus Fav. Both players had no units left, but when it came down to heroes, Fav won by nuking. It's my opinion that when it comes down to heroes against heroes, the undead duo of the Death Knight and the Lich will totally dominate. So, if you missed all the foreshadowing, Fav wins over Zyout and goes on to play Grubby. Speaking of a flashback to Fav against Grubby, let's flash forward to Fav against Grubby in the quarterfinals. Much to my dismay, the World Cyber Games did not release the first or the third game of this match, and that is just a total tragedy. I mean, the quality of the second game just showed us that those 2 other games would have been worth 10 minutes of my video. Fav starts out strong and catches Grubby expoing. In this fight, Fav takes a slight advantage and is able to force Grubby into the back of his base. But he also makes sure Grubby doesn't buy any items. An orc without a voodoo lounge is like a fish without water. So Grubby gets his items back by using a zeppelin to fly past Fav's army, which is camping outside of his base. After Grubby came back, it looked like he would win, but then Fav pulled 10 ghouls and some Destros out of his base and dominated. He kills Grubby's main and then goes after his expo. In the end, the zeppelin, which gave Grubby new life, gave him death at the exact same time. Grubby won Game 3 and advanced to the other semifinal match. I think that Fav's the most cheated player, as he deserved to go on. If there was a loser's bracket, he would have done better than tied for 5th through 8th. Bracket 4 is a bit bottom heavy. It has Wizard, Sohu, Philbot, and Insom all in the bottom 4 slots. The only major contender in the top 4 is Short Round. Philbot, being so predictable, lost to Insomnia. It's unfortunate that the 2 had to play so early. Wizard wasn't as well practiced as he should have been, losing in 2 games to Suho. Game 3 of Insomnia against Suho showed how Insomnia isn't that good at adapting. I said it on the forums after he lost to Puree because he didn't get Rifleman. It was the same kind of thing that screwed him over here. Also, the fact that Suho has a level 3 Pit Lord really helps. Go and check out my audio commentary on why Suho won at my website. That's www.imbavideo.com. Suho now had to face the American Short Round. Short Round is an odd player in that he doesn't do well in any tournament until World Cyber Games comes, where he always surprises me with his skill. Game 1 was on Lost Temple. Here's where Short wins the game. He gets a hero kill, putting him well on his way to level 6, and way ahead of Suho, and at the same time he gets an Expo kill. Notice how if Suho hadn't have eaten one tree while putting his Expo up, Short Round would have been trapped, and would have been forced to lose his hero or TP. Talk about cause and effect. The next game, much to my dismay, was also on Lost Temple. This time Suho gained the advantage and killed Short's hero about 3 times, and then proceeded to just destroy his main. The match was tied 1-1 going into the first non-temple map of the series. Game 3 was decided by Short getting rejuvenation on his Naga, saving it, and then being able to focus down both of Suho's heroes and get 2 kills. I love Warcraft 3, how a long 3-game series like this can come down to what happens over the span of 10 seconds. Some say Short Round did this well because he had an easy bracket. I think his path to the semifinals was easier than some other players, but he's definitely not a noob. Now, on to the epic conclusion of World Cyber Games. I highly recommend that everybody who hasn't watched all the semifinal, final, and third place games, go watch them now. They are awesome. Game 1 on Turtle Rock was all about Sky getting the Wand of Lightning Shield and Todd bitching about it after the game. The Wand of Lightning Shield helps you when you're playing human, but even though it isn't balanced, you have to keep your head in the game. Todd didn't. He teched to Tier 3 against Sky, the player who tower pushes almost every single game at Tier 2. That was definitely not the right move to make, and that cost him the game as much as the Wand of Lightning Shield did. Game 2 was Sky's turn to get the shaft as Todd got the Wand of Lightning Shield. It's unfortunate that 2 games had to be wasted with this imbalance. I hope Blizzard's watching and noting to themselves that against human more than any other race, the Wand of Lightning Shield is not balanced. Game 3 was on close positions on Twisted Meadows. Sky crept his Merc camp first and picked up some Mercs while Todd creeped his Goblin lab. In this first fight, Sky comes out ahead by about 3 footmen, which helps him incredibly in the long run. Those extra footman saves allowed him to slow down Todd's tech. In this battle, Sky has many more casters, and that essentially wins him the game. Todd didn't like Sky's greater healing potion. Even though it helped, I don't think it cost him the game like he claims. Game 1 of Grubby against Short Round was summed up by the Tauren Chieftain saying, "I am level 5. Fear me." The cross positions helped Grubby get his TC to a high level while using his Blade Master to harass and keep Short Round's heroes very low. Now, Short Round will have to win 2 games straight. Close positions on Turtle Rock proved to be a very interesting setup for these players. Grubby had the advantage early on, as all orcs do against Night Elf, before the Night Elves start pumping Druids of the Talon. In this battle, he doesn't lose that advantage, but he doesn't gain anything either. From here on out, it'll only get worse. Once Short Round builds up his army and levels up his heroes, he can take on Grubby easily. It also really helps that in this battle, Grubby's so spread out so he has a hard time keeping all of his units out of Cyclone. With Game 3, someone would advance to the finals. You can tell Short Round is nervous as he takes his wisps out to make sure he doesn't trap his hero when he comes out. Just like the last game, Grubby took the advantage early, but the real question is whether or not he'd be able to expand on that advantage later. From this battle, it looks like he has expanded that advantage and that he's going to win. He also could have chosen to Expo here and try to win that way, but he decides not to. In the final battle, Short Round did a masterful job of keeping Grubby's Tauren Chieftain on the ground and away from his Druids of the Talon. That and his high hero levels contributed to his win in this game over Grubby. He has to be the best American player ever. Maybe Aether in his prime could have challenged him. So, an American-Chinese final. Who would have guessed it? And an all 4K third place game. As always, the World Cyber Games is a very hard tournament to predict. In the first game on Echo Isles, Todd tries to tech to Tier 3 and Expo at the same time. It's not the best choice against Grubby, who punishes him for it. It takes Grubby some time to take down the Expo, but it also takes a significant amount of Todd's resources to keep it up. When he finally gets Tier 3, he isn't able to get enough units to fight off Grubby, who wins Game 1. After Todd takes Game 2, the money and the bronze medal is up for grabs in Game 3. Todd shows us how humans won't get Rifleman if they don't plan it from the start. Instead of Breaker Caster, where the casters get nullified by the Spirit Walkers, he could have gone Rifle Breaker and had a much better time dealing with Grubby's army. Grubby and Todd said they were up until 5 a.m. partying before the game, so that's probably why they both played fairly poorly. And if they don't think the third place game's worthwhile, then stay up all night and party. Finals were much anticipated by many Americans, including myself. Could the US finally win RTS Gold and prove that we aren't just a bunch of first-person shooter players? Game 1 was on Twisted Meadows, and Tower Happy Sky towered again. Instead of a Tier 2 tower like he normally does, he pulled out a Tier 1 tower push. I think it's a really smart play, as Short Round is fairly new to the spotlight, and a longer game would let Short Round relax. Since Sky won it so fast, I don't think Short Round ever got a chance to really get his head into the game. This time, Short Round was totally locked into the game. He towered Sky after Sky expoed, and it looked like he was gonna win for a while. Then, Sky started slowly getting back more and more units and slowly pushing Short Round back. When Short Round was forced to TP out, he did move his units away so that they could stay in and fight, which was an incredibly smart move. But in the end, when it came down to it, Sky played as close to a perfect game as I saw all tournament long, and he really deserved to be crowned World Cyber Games Champion of 2005. At number 15, the Acolyte. Look at the micro and the Wisp! He's gonna block it! Oh my god, the Acolyte! He's gonna kill it! Oh my god, he kills the Acolyte! GG! Number 14 is as close as it gets for pulling off that TP. Number 13, Sky looking not to be surrounded, and look at that juke by Sky. He should be a football player. Grubby smartly trying to stop Short Round from getting his second hero, but instead Short Round just sneaks a Cool Beast into the surround and gets his Fire Lord anyway. Hey, it's not 15 flying machines, but at number 11, it's 6 Wisps. Nightoff showing us that invisible water elementals are good for something. Here, they're blocking the bears from getting to his army. That is, until their time runs out. Number 9 is yet another reason not to follow a human into his base. He doesn't even get the one hero kill he was looking for, but Noob Human loses both of his. At number 8, Todd just barely saves his hero. He gets an extra level and HP by killing one of his assailants. Todd still manages to lose the game though. This is just edging on abusive, as the panda just sits there and gives it to the human base. Number 6 is your classic TP back to your base and still die, except you don't die because of your health regeneration. Grubby with an excellent 4-corner surround to land him the number 5 slot. Playster reminds us why we don't go Keeper of the Grove against an orc like Grubby who gets the Blade Master. It just doesn't work, and it won't ever work. At number 3, Zio just gets lazy and leaves his Blade Master in his opponent's base. Haven't you ever heard about overstaying your welcome, you big bully? At number 2, you really have to do more to save your heroes. I mean, all the Night Elf does is silence the Death Knight, focus the Death Knight, use an invulnerability potion, focus the Death Knight some more, and the panda dies. Who would have thunk it? And at number 1, it isn't just one top play, it's a game full of them. Go check out Fallen against Duke. It was so crazy that I hardly have time for half of the awesome plays in this game, but I'll try. As you see here, the Paladin just kills Acolyte after Acolyte after Acolyte, and I probably left out half of his Acolyte kills. It's just happening all over. There, he gets surrounded, but instead he just kills all the ghouls. Here, Banished Death Knight. Oh, look, he's dead. Oh, here, Lich. Lich is dead too. First of all, I want to thank some donators: Curtis, Pappy the Mad Scientist, Fantic Rotterdam, Doso, Sueb, Norsi, and Kabizzle. Thanks a lot for the donations. Also, I want to say sorry if any of my jokes have offended anyone, but the point of a joke is to make people laugh, and I don't make the joke to make you feel bad or to degrade your country, especially to Luxembourg. I still love all you guys, and to Philbot, who's the world's greatest fiend user. Again, if you like the style of this more than previous videos, vote in the poll and send me feedback at www.imbavideo.com. Also, my timing videos will be out, so be looking for that. In the meantime, GG, GL, HF.